So, to repeat some of the points of yesterday, how is it that in the same self experiences that point to multiplicity of the self as it were takes place owing to ignorance? The opponent himself is asking, through ignorance, how the differentiation is seen. Then he told, though forms, functions and names differ here and there, in respect of others, in respect of ether contained by jars, etc., this causes no difference in the ether. Similar is the conclusion with regard to individual souls. And again, after explaining, he asks, is not the experience of difference in forms, functions, etc. of ether enclosed within the jar, etc. real? Are they real? The experiences which we get through the limitation of adjuncts, say, sarira or body, whatever you may call, are they not real? He says, no. Why? He says, as the ether within a jar is not a modification nor a part of the infinite ether. The ether which is in the jar is not having any parts, or it is not a modification. So the self also is not having any parts, or it gets modified. Modification is not there in this self. A change, if it is there, the thing becomes unreal. If you accept a change for a thing, it becomes unreal. Mind is changing, senses are changing, and gross body is changing. So, from the absolute point of view, we say they are unreal because they are changing. So, if the self also gets modified, or it undergoes modification, or if it is having parts, then it becomes unreal. But only one real thing is there, that is the self. So he says there is no modifications. So an individual soul is never a modification nor a part of the self. Part of the absolute self, Brahman. It is not a part, he says. Then the individual self and the absolute self, which is only consciousness and which is all-pervading, is one and the same. No difference in it. Differences are in the limiting adjuncts and in the mind. And the mind is the main cause for happiness, sorrow, bondage, liberation, all the things. Again he is explaining. He asked, then why one has to see the difference? How you establish the non-difference? Then he gave the another verse. Just as to the children, the sky becomes soiled by that, so too to the unwise, those who are not having discrimination between the real and the unreal. And why the self becomes tainted by impurities. What are the impurities? The desire, the happiness, the sorrow, all these things. These are the impurities. But these things are not there in the self. That has been never indeed can a desert become possessed of water, foam, wave, etc. simply because a thirsty creature just attributes those to it. In the same way, the self does not become tainted. But the meaning is tainted because I cannot pronounce that properly. Tarnished, tarnished, tarnished. So I have taken the meaning. By the impurities such as affliction superimposed on it by the ignorant. This is the meaning. Idea already expressed is further elucidated, is illustrated. The self, in regard to its death and birth, going and coming, and its existence in all the bodies, is not dissimilar to ether. It is not dissimilar. It is just similar to the ether. So I think this portion we have to cover again, because yesterday we have told just the meaning of, just as to the children the sky becomes soiled by that, so too to the universe, to unwise, the self becomes tainted by impurities. For this, the commentary has been not told. So now we will proceed with the commentary. Part space, space in the room, space in the needle are due to limiting agents. Because of that, difference is there. Because of difference, making it as an object, mind acts and sees the different names, forms, different actions, and all the worldly actions in space or in the self. Like that, as they see the difference in the space, in the same way, different limiting agents are the bodies. Because of that, one sees different individuals, and from that, birth, death, happiness, sorrow, all these are taking place because they accept that ignorance in Atman as impurity, but in reality the impurities are not there in the Atman. So, first what they do, Atman is consciousness, full of consciousness, and mind is an inert matter. They just superimpose this inert matter mind on the Atman. We heard the illustration many times. Take an iron ball, put it in the fire. So the fire looks like round, but fire is not having any form, but in the iron ball it looks round. And the iron ball is black, and it seems to be red. So what happened? The qualities of the fire and the iron ball are exchanged, and they look like alike, and they look like one thing. In the same way, first, the ignorant person superimposes the mind on the Atman. And he unites them because of the superimposition. And then he utters I. So in this I, two things are there. Don't think this I is one thing. Ego. Both consciousness is there and the mind is there. When the mind is superimposed on the Atman, then only you can tell I. Otherwise there is no I at all. You separate and merge the mind in the Atman. Where is the I? It is already dissolved. So, this is the ignorance. And in day-to-day life, in the worldly life, they are not having something like discrimination. They are simply carried away the mind. And they are, rather to say, immersed in worldly life because of the ignorance. And they never discriminate what is real, what is unreal. So in the very beginning, when Lord Shankara starts the teaching, he first says, Viveka, discrimination is necessary. If you want to be a Vedantin, if you want to experience the highest happiness which is within you as the consciousness, bliss absolute, then first you have to develop discrimination, then dispassion, then control of senses, then deep desire to know your own self. All these things are there. If these things are not there, he is called unwise and he is called ignorant person. So, from the standpoint of the view of the ignorant person, he says, though there is no dirt or blueness in the sky, they see as children. He says, as children. So, the elders may be knowing that sky is not blue, no dirt in the sky. For that, now he is telling further. To prove this, first he takes the illustration. To prove the ignorance, he takes the illustration. Just as the children, to the children, the sky becomes soiled by that. So too, to the unwise, undiscriminating human beings, the self becomes tainted by impurities. Then he says, what are the impurities? He already told. Birth, death, happiness, sorrow. Previously, we told an illustration of Dadhyanga Adharvana Rishi. Remember? Brahmananji? Dadhyanga Adharvana, Dadhichi.
With the bones is a Puranic story, the Upanishadic story is Swami.
See, the Dadhichi we call, but he is the Rishi. And for Isavasya Upanishad. So, once God Indra came to him and asked him, please let me know something about this self-knowledge. Then, this particular Rishi the Dhyanga Rishi started. How he has started? You see, you are seeing these insects. The male is following the female insect to have the sense enjoyments. So like that, you are following your wife Indrani. This is unreal. He started like this. So Indra immediately got angry. He says, take care. If you repeat this knowledge again to anybody, I will chop off your head. So what to do? He is having the power, God. He kept quiet. Then the two gods of heaven, who were the Ayurvedic doctors, celestial Ayurvedic doctors, they are called Ashwini Kumar. They are twins, they go together. So after some time, they came to Dhyanga Rishi and asked him, you please tell something about the self-knowledge. You please teach me. Then he said, I am having a curse like this, how can I teach? Because they are celestial doctors. So they say, don't worry, we are having a medicine for you. And what is the medicine? They said, first we will cut off your head. You are a living person. And we will keep it somewhere. And we will bring a horse head. Horse. That we will attach it to you. High-Griva. Not High-Griva. That is not High-Griva. High-Griva is something else.
I know, but it is also
So, High-Griva you can call, but High-Griva, the god, is a different god. So then through that you will be teaching. And Indra, when comes to know, he will chop off your head, which we brought as the horse head. This one. Then he goes away. Then we will again attach your head to you. So in this way you start teaching. He has agreed. That means, even undergoing so much of difficulties or whatever you may call, one should know the self-knowledge. See, even undergoing so much of austerity or tapas or difficulty, sorrow, one should know the self-knowledge.
A minor question. How the Ashwini Kumar is related to the right and left nostrils?
In Brihadaranyaka, something like that it comes. And because Saptarishis, he says, and they are, of course, celestial gods. They only have entered into this body that we have already discussed. So, this self-knowledge is so great and so pure. In that, where the purity will come from? It cannot come. That is why the scriptures, which strictly follow the non-dualism, they say it is ignorance, ignorance, ignorance. So remove the ignorance. Ajnanena avrutam jnanam tena muhyanti jantava. Sri Krishna says. So what is the ignorance here? What is the unwise? What are the impurities? That we have told: happiness, sorrow, and birth and death, all these things. See, now he has not bothered about the death. The Dhyanga, the Dadichi. After the same fellow, the Indra comes and asks his bones. And he, all right, you take it. He is not having any enmity or malice towards Indra, though he has chopped off his head. So, the men of pure knowledge, they are never care for anything of this world or of this body. See? That is the fruits of that knowledge, we can say. In this connection, I remember another story, though it is not connected to this particular context, because I remembered, I wanted to tell you. A man of knowledge is having so much of power that he can give up his body at any time for the sake of others. We have seen Dadichi, we have seen Lord Shankaracharya, Jadabharata, so many examples we are having. Now, in the same way, a worshipper also can have such powers. This we come across the commentator of Lalita Sahasranama. His name is Bhaskara Rai. His name is Bhaskara Rai. He is very great Upasaka. He always used to sit on the outside of his house. Veranda is there, there he used to sit. So one Swami used to pass that way, having a danda. And this Bhaskar Rai is a householder, is Upasaka and a worshipper, but he never pays any reverence or anything to that Swami. By chance, the both were called to a particular function, and that particular Swami scolds this Bhaskar. He is a householder, I am a sannyasi. My stage is greater, and this fellow never pays any reverence to me. At that time, he kept quiet. Afterwards, he called that Swamiji. Bhaskar Rai called that Swamiji. Then he told, you put your kamandalu and your staff here. You just move to other side. Then to the staff and kamandalu, he has prostrated. They became pieces and pieces. Immediately. That is why I am not prostrating to you. Because you are not having so much of power. So when I prostrate, you will lose your body. That I don't want. Then the Swamiji says, but in day-to-day life, we have to follow some rules. You are a householder, and I am a sannyasi. You don't want to pray reverence, that's all right, because of this. So something you have to do. Then the time when the Swamiji passes, he used to get into the room. He was in the house, Bhaskar Raya. So, don't think those who are having this self-knowledge alone are having so much of power. The worshipper, the upasaka, the yogi, they are also having great powers. But the moment they use them for the selfish motive, they are gone.
Again, a minor question. In the Upanishadic text, the worshipper is called an upasaka. Person, a devotee, a meditator is called an upasaka. But the other day I looked in one of the commentaries of the Mandukya Upanishad. The commentator, which is the senior commentator, he writes, in the Vedas, the word bhakti is never mentioned. This is what he writes.
Yes.
Is it true, Swami? The word bhakti is never mentioned in
And it is mentioned only in Gita by Lord Krishna.
Yeah.
Because though the Lord Shankaracharya has composed so many stotras on bhakti, etc., but the upasana is told. So many types of upasana. Even in Chandogya, the first 5 chapters are complete upasana. But they are not according to Tantra. The bhakti word, when we use the worship, immediately we have to shift from the Vedas to the Tantra. The Tantra cult alone says about the worship of the deities, constructing the temples, worshipping, all these things, they come under Tantra. So in the 10 main Upanishads, when we see closely, this type of bhakti worship is not mentioned. But in all the Upanishads, in many of the Upanishads, even in Brihadaranyaka, in Chandogya, and other places, they mention about upasana, which are declared by Vedas only. Mano brahmeti vijnanat pranam brahma. Like that is upasana. See, upasa, sitting near. First they wanted to tell that Atman is not different from the Brahman. But if you are not able to go to that extent of thinking the oneness, then you can take the support of something. Etadalambanam sreshtam, etadalambanam varam, etadalambanam jnatva, yo yadichyasi tasya tat. Take a support. So, this support, what they say, that is declared by the Vedas. Then, say the scriptures, Upanishads especially, the essence of the Upanishads is to conclude the oneness. Only one Brahman is there. And the Atman is also the same consciousness. So, the self-consciousness is not different from that Brahman. This is the conclusion of all the Upanishads. But then, why should they say so many upasanas in the scriptures? Question arises. Especially in Chandogya, 5 chapters completely were dedicated to the upasana. And in Brihadaranyaka also it is there. In some other Upanishads also it is there, the upasana. So, when you wanted to tell about only Brahman, and you are telling the scripture, Upanishad, the meaning itself is Brahma Jnana. Brahma Jnanam, knowledge of Brahman. Then why you are interpolating the upasanas? There, the commentator, Lord Shankara says, you see, all of a sudden, I cannot take a worldly person to the highest Vedanta. All of a sudden, I cannot take. He was in the world, he is having some desires. So, to fulfill his desires, so many things have been told in the Vedas, in the first portion, in Karma Kanda. He has been doing all those things to fulfill his desires. Now, slowly we wanted to lift him from the Karma Kanda to Upasana Kanda. Suddenly, if I say, You just follow Vedanta, no Upasana, no Karma Kanda, that fellow will not come to me. First thing. So, we have to take them slowly. So you see, then what he says, in the first very sentence of Isavasya commentary, he uses a word, karma jada. These worldly persons doing the actions which desires, they have become inert actionist, you can say. And that is karma jadaha. Because of the action, their mind has become inert, he says. Because of actions. So, first, we have to tell him, you do your actions, as well as with that you do the upasana. Karmangavabaddha upasana, he says. You do the actions enjoined by the scriptures, as well as you do this upasana. So, karmangavabaddha upasana, ahangraha upasana, then for Aishwarya, that also upasana. In Taittiriya it comes, if you want money, you do like this. If you want fame, you do like this. If you want more students, you do like this. All these things will be coming in Taittiriya. So, he wanted to take the aspirant, even in the Upanishad. First he says, you do both, but not the actions that are told in the, say, the Puranas also, but the actions, scriptural injunctions. If you want, you say, if you want rain, kariri yagena vrishti kamo ejeta, asvamadha yagena swarga kamo ejeta. If you want heaven, you do asvamadha yaga. If you want rain, you do kariri yaga. Dadna juhoti indriya kamaha. If you want that all your senses should be very strong, then you do havan with goats, yogurt. So like this, these are all the scriptural injunctions. So, those who are following these actions, those who are doing already, for them the scripture first says, you be going on doing your actions, at the same time you follow some of the upasanas. That will be good for you. Then he says, you do, if you do all the actions without hankering the results, then you will get more results, he says. So slowly taking from, say, the man where he is there, from there they lead him to the higher levels. So, but in most these 10 Upanishads, we don't find the ordinary worship, which in, say, in day-to-day life, they call worship and other things. They have never mentioned. You see, another thing, in all the Upanishads, these 10 Upanishads, main Upanishads, you never find the name of any deity. Rama, Krishna, Durga, nobody. Even in Bhagavad Gita, though he says so much about bhakti, but not even a single mantra about any deity. See? So whenever Krishna says, from the absolute the consciousness as the self he talks. From that level he talks. Aham means only the self-consciousness, wherever he says. But in day-to-day life, we have to do some of the duties, transactions, so many transactions are there. We are having the body consciousness, we are having the desires. Then how to do? For that also he says, you follow this rule, you follow this rule. I think 22 qualities he says in the 16th chapter. In the same way, in Bhakti Yoga also, he says so many qualities. You follow these qualities, then you will be elevated. So, they don't want to disturb a person from where he is staying. From that stage, that's why, if you can help anybody in spirituality, in uplifting him or elevate him, you just give your instruction. Otherwise, don't disturb. Na joshiye sarva karmani, he says. Never disturb anybody. If you can lead him to the higher level, you take. Otherwise, simply keep quiet, let him be. God will take care of him. You have nothing to do with him. So, that is a fact. Bhakti, the very word is coming in tantras. So, going to a temple, worshipping in a temple, and worshipping in the house, these are all tantra. But the culmination of tantra and culmination of Vedanta is one. See, they say Nada Bindu Kala. Nada, they say sound. Is it not? So, but in Tantras, they accept Mahadeva, not this Shiva. Beyond him, another god is there, is called Mahadeva. Deva Mahadeva. So, whenever he wants to create, he just make the sounds of Damaru and creation start there, it is told. And here, this Sutratman creates Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. Brahma utters some sounds and accordingly creation starts, he says. So, those who follow the Tantra, they are called Krutopasakaha. Through Upasana, they have cleansed their mind, and as soon as they hear Vedanta, they realize the self. Same thing we see in Sri Ramakrishna. All the way he was appointed as a worshipper to the Kali. He has experienced the presence of Kali and he has seen her. Then immediately when Totapuri says Vedanta, Totapuri, after 40 years of intense austerities, he could get just half an hour samadhi. And Sri Ramakrishna immediately goes to the samadhi for 72 years, 72 hours. Very difficult to bring him back. That is the effect of Krutopasaka. So, that's why, then how to reconcile the Vedanta and the worship? We are in the body, we have not given the ego, given up the ego, or the body consciousness is not given up. We cannot give up our desires. Then what to do? But we wanted to realize this self, which is told according to Vedanta. Then what to do? That's why again and again I say, bhavadvaitam sada kuryat, kriyadvaitam na karhichet. In your bhava, in your emotions, you always think of the oneness, that only one God is there and I am one with Him, I am doing everything for Him. But in the relative plane, you should be in duality only. Do all the actions, taking the support of the scriptures and all the other things. So, in relative plane, you have to take the scriptures as support. For this also, we give the illustration. What is the illustration? We have to follow the scriptural instructions even in day-to-day life. Taking the support of last verse of 16th chapter of Gita, Tasma Shastram Pramanante Karyakari Vyavastito Jnatva Karya Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharas. So for that, what illustration I gave? You remember? This is the scripture or the Gita quotation. Even if you are having a body, you should know the scriptures and accordingly you should follow. Huh? Car in the driver, but these people should know.
They remember. Once you just tell them that if you possess a car, you need to know the rules, and because when you want to drive a car, you need to know the rules.
No, you see, still you should go little back. Little back you have to go. You have earned a lot of money in a truthful way, with a truthful business, whatever. And it is not black money, rather to say. And you have purchased a car and you are driving the car. See, money is yours. It is earned in a truthful manner. And you have purchased the car and you are the driver. But still you have to follow something which you call traffic rules. Why? When everything is yours, why you should follow? In the same way, you are having a, say the body, a human body, a mortal body. It has come out of the actions which you have done previously. So, you are having a body and you wanted to lead it. But you cannot lead that body as you like. You have to follow the scriptural injunctions or the rules of the Gita, etc., as the illustration of a car. See, in all foreign countries, they are having these cameras above. If you go more speed, you are caught. If you go less speed, you are caught. What is this? Car is mine. I have purchased. I am driving.
But the road on which we are driving is not a road. Swamiji, with your permission, Swamiji has asked how Ashwini Kumars are connected to the nostrils. So I found out. Can I say? Yes.
Why not?
So this story is connected to their birth actually. Swamiji also knows, but he doesn't remember. The Vishnu Purana describes the birth that Sandhya, the daughter of Vishwakarma, was the wife of Surya. She got 3 children, Manu, Yama and Yami. Yami is Yamuna. So once finding the effulgence of Surya unbearable, she engaged Chaya, her shadow, to look after the Surya and left for the forest to do penance there. Surya took Chaya to be Sandhya and got 3 children of her, that is Shani, Manu and Tapati.
Tapati.
Once Chaya got angry and cursed Yama. It was then that Surya and Yama came to know that she was not Sandhya. Getting more details from...
One minute. See what happened. Chaya is the duplicate wife of sun. So there was a quarrel. Actually, it is between the Seni and the Chaya, and the Chaya gave such a big blow to Seni, his leg broke. Then son asks, "Are you a mother? How you have beaten?" Then she says, "I am not the actual mother," whatever it may be.
It was then that
That
Surya
word.
and Yama came to know that she was not Sandhya. Getting more details from Chaya, Surya found out by his Jnana Drishti, a power of sight developed by yoga by which one could see things far beyond the limits of his vision. That Samya was practicing austerities taking the form of a mare. Then Surya went to her disguised as a horse and with her cooperation produced 3 children, of which the first 2 became known as Ashwini Kumaras. The third son was called Revanta. Then Surya took Sandhya to his place. This comes under chapter 2, Amsha 3 of Vishnu Purana. Shloka 35 of chapter 66 of Adi Parva Mahabharata states that Ashwini Kumaras were born from the nose of Sandhya. This is the story.
So that is the connection. So he is our mobile library. Mobile library. Whatever you want, immediate reference you can get. So, we have discussed so many things about the impurities of the mind. Actually, there is no impurity in the mind. That it was superimposed because of the mind. No impurity in the Atman. But the mind is also not impure. It is pure. The particular individual has soiled it because of the desires, thinking that birth is there, death is there, I want this, I want sorrow, malice, all these things. And now he is asking something else. He has given the illustration, that is over. He is explaining the meaning of what is to be illustrated, that is Dashtanta Tatha. Where is this Tatha or Yatha? Acha.
Tatha bhavati atma.
Yatha bhavati loke balanam avivekinam gaganam akasham ghanarajo dhumadi malair malinam malavat na gaganam malavat yathatmya vivekinam. Those who are truly endowed with discrimination, they don't see any impurity in the sky or in the ether. But just as in common parlance, the sky becomes tainted by cloud, dust, smoke, etc. to those who are devoid of discrimination. But to those truly endowed with discrimination, the sky is not tainted. In the same way, tatha bhavati atma paropi ye vijnata pratyak klesha karma phalam malair malino abuddhanam pratyagatma vivekarahitanam na atmavekvatam. In the same way, to those who cannot discern, those who cannot discriminate the inner self, but not to those who can discriminate it. The self, though supreme, as also the knower and the indweller, becomes tainted by impurities such as affliction, action, and fruit of the action. So, those who can discriminate, those who cannot discriminate, so much of difference is there. That he has explained with the illustration, and this we should develop discrimination even in day-to-day life, while praying, while meditating, while studying, while doing the work. See, while doing some work, we pay full attention to the work, that particular action. We forget everything. But Swami Brahmananda, the first disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, the Rakhal Maharaj, says, before starting the work, remember the Almighty. In between the work, also you remember. In the end of the work, again you remember. In this way, you connect your mind to the Atman. Otherwise, you will again forget. So, you be in your actions or do what in day-to-day life. You have to do so many actions. You have to do so many works. But the aspirants, at times they pray, at times they meditate, at times they worship. But most of this time they spend in work. Am I correct? What from morning what we are doing? Do you think simply we are sitting and thinking of the Atman? No. From a morning we start so many works, taking the concentration to the body. So, he says, do all your duties, but never forget about yourself. That is the main teaching, that you can do only through discrimination. Viveka. So, one has to develop by forcing the mind. See, the Shastras simply tell something and leave. It is not going to hold your neck and says you do this. It simply says these are the things. So, through your intelligence, through your discrimination, you have to select what to do, how to do. That is left to you. Even the teacher will never say. He may observe you, whether you are doing the actions or not. That is why Sri Krishna says, Uddhared Atmanatmanam, you have to lift your own self by yourself. So, it is very necessary to force our mind to do good actions, to meditate, to worship, to chant the name of the Lord. For this, you have to do some effort. Prayatna is necessary. Prayatna. Effort. Now, again he is asking something. Nahi usara desha trudvat pranyadhyaropita udaka fena tarangadimans tatha na atma abudha aropita kleshadi malair malino bhavati ityartha. He says, the Atman is never tainted by the impurities. For that he is giving an illustration. Never indeed can a desert become possessed of water, foam, wave, simply because a thirsty creature just attributes these to it. In the same way, the self does not become tainted by the impurities such as affliction superimposed on it by the ignorance. This is the meaning.
I have asked this question one time. I'm going to ask it again because I think it has some relevance to the text. Advaita Vedanta, there are two major schools. There's Vivarana,
Oh.
Vivarana coming from the disciple of Padmapada, Ramati Vachashpati Mishra.
Majaspati.
And the question they deal, main question is, what is the locus, what is the place of avidya? Vivarana says the locus, the place of avidya is in Nirguna Brahman. This is what they say. Pramati, they say it's in the jiva. But when we speak about superimposition, Swamiji, there is a rope. But instead of seeing the rope, we see a snake. Then, if we ask, what is the locus of the snake? What is the place of the snake?
The self-ignorance.
Self-ignorance is the locus of the snake. But then if we ask, what is the locus of self-ignorance? It's very difficult. So, the disciple of Padmapada was very great teacher, Vachashpati Mishra equally. But one says it is in Brahman, the other says it is in the Jiva. But with the question it is in the Jiva, there is a difficulty. The difficulty is the Jiva itself is an effect of avidya.
Yes.
So how can avidya dwell in its own effect?
In?
In its own effect.
In its own effect. It is an effect of avidya.
Jiva.
Then we say that avidya dwells in its own effect. This resembles a little bit Satkaryavada. But Satkaryavada, the theory of
Creation.
causation that we find in yoga. But in the Advaita Vedanta, we don't follow Satkaryavada.
We follow. Satkaryavada we follow.
Yes.
In Advaita Vedanta also, we follow only Satkaryavada.
We follow Satkaryavada. So then, one says it's in Brahman, the other says it's in the Jiva. It seems that this question is not yet resolved, Swami.
See, the Vachaspati Mishra says, what is Jiva? Which is having a limiting agent, is called Jiva. So, standing from that point, he says, the ignorance is in Jiva. But whereas the Vivarana Prasthan, they say only one Atman is there, everything is superimposed. That you may call ignorance or illusion. They are not making any difference between ignorance and illusion. Illusion is the power of Ishvara Maya, or the ignorance, the power of Jiva. The followers of Vivarana Prasthan, they never make any difference. So, what is the support? Nirguna Brahman. Oh, then, they completely follow to the letter the Vedas. Say only ignorance is there. Because of that, you see the difference in duality. When ignorance is not there, only oneness is there. So, from standpoint of oneness, they speak. And he speaks because taking into consideration that what you call a jiva, parichinnavada, he says. Parichinnavada means that the consciousness limited by a something, just like part. So, is Parichinnavada, and they are, say they reflect, the Atman reflects in the mind. And finally, the followers of non-dualism say, everything is illusion. And where is it? It is in only Atman. You can remove it or you can keep it. So, here from the absolute standpoint of view, there is no difference they make in Jiva and Brahman. So they say it is in Brahman. And now another thing is, then if you ask a non-dual follower, what is Jiva? He says, because of the limiting adjunct, Parichinnavada, it is Jiva, he says. But here, this Vedanti says, you see, first we take into consideration the support of everything, that is the Adhisthana Brahman. And then, because of past actions, an individual is having a mind, a subtle body. So, this all-pervading consciousness just reflects in the mind. So, these three put together is called Jiva, he says. So, he is taking the support of the all-pervading Atman. Yes, that alone is reflecting. Otherwise, you see, now a particular person passed away. And this subtle body is made up of subtle elements. It is not having the consciousness. It cannot move by itself. Then, how it is taken from this place to heaven? Somebody should be there to carry. So in Brahma Sutras, that a long discussion is there. Somebody will be carrying. If first he goes to sun, then moon, then Varun Loka, like this, so many things. They carry him to the Brahma Loka, whatever it may be. But the thing is, as soon as he goes there, though he seems to be inert, he gets life and enjoys all the enjoyments there. Then, so we have to accept that one consciousness is there even in the dead body. The same consciousness is there in the subtle body. And the same consciousness is there in Brahmaloka. That's why he says, this support is one consciousness. It may be in Brahmaloka, and now he is going to refute all the gods. He says, you are having a body which is made up of 5 elements. He is also having the same body. In what day it is having the excellence? So why do you accept? Simply you accept the oneness. He is going to tell Gaudapada Acharya. So here, he just little Bhamati separates the Jiva. He says, Parichinnavada Bhamati. That is, the consciousness which is limited by the subtle body or the body is called Jiva. So he says this ignorance, the locus is in the Jiva Atma. But what they say, they never differentiate between the Jiva and Brahman. Only one consciousness they accept. That the Jiva may be here, he may be there, he may be somewhere else. In Brahmaloka, only one consciousness. So simply he says that is the support for ignorance. That is little difference in their imagination. So the Parichinna is limiting. The Bhamati is a Parichinnavadi. That's why he says it is in the. But whereas those who support Lord Shankara or Shankaracharya, they simply say only one Atman, that is the support of ignorance. And they never differentiate between the illusion Maya and individual ajnana or ignorance. They say only one thing. And another thing, the followers of non-dualism, though they accept only one Atman, I am Atma Brahma, but in the relative plane, they do accept Ishvara. In the relative plane, not from the absolute plane. In the absolute plane, there is no Ishvara also. So, they say the individual jiva may get any amount of power. Only thing is, in the relative plane, he cannot create or dissolve anything. That power is only with Ishvara. This much the non-dualist says. All these discussions are elaborately discussed in Brahma Sutras. If God permits, we will do it. But see, now we wanted to. So now it is clear to you, Swamiji?
Yes, Swamiji, thank you.
Because of their different imaginations, they say like that. But better to accept the Vedas and say only one thing is there, and it is not different from that Brahman, and only because of illusion or Maya or ignorance, we feel it is different. That's why even Gaudapada says the differentiation is due to only ignorance. So, there the Bhamati differentiates the ignorance and Maya, I think, because I have not read Bhamati Prasthan. Only I think in 92 or so, the present pontiff was there. I heard some of the portion, more than half or something. But afterwards, I have not studied. Just simply I heard and left. So, I am not having the clear idea about full Bhamati. But this much we know because of our teacher used to say, it is Avacchinnavada. Never indeed can a desert become possessed of water, foam, wave, etc. simply because a thirsty creature just attributes these to it. In the same way, the self does not become tainted by the impurities such as affliction, superimposed on it by the ignorant. This is the meaning. For the men who are bereft of discrimination, though they superimpose the impurities of the Atman, they take them as real. So, they see that in a mirage, that water is there, foam is there, and they think these things are real. If an individual does more good, he gets to heaven, he goes to heaven. Now the opponent is coming. is asking. If he does more bad, he goes to hell. After enjoying the fruits there, again he takes another birth. Till the fruits they enjoy here again, and after enjoying the fruits, again he tries to go to heaven. So, going and coming from this world to other worlds is not correct, because it goes against worldly actions. For this, he says, actually he has to say, these worldly actions are going against your non-duality. So he says, what you say is not correct. Non-duality. Marana. Punarapi uktamevartham prapanchayati. So, supposing that the opponent is asking like this, that day-to-day worldly activities will not go. Supposing his question, he is giving the answer. Marane. Marane sambhavecha eva gatya gamanayorapi. Stitau sarvasarireshu akasena vilakshanaha. The self in regard to death and birth, going and coming. So just this word, going and coming, he has taken and he has explained so much. This commentator. And its existence in all bodies is not dissimilar to ether. It is similar to ether. Ghatakasha janma nasha gamana agamana stitivat sarva sharireshu atmano janma marana adir akashena vilakshana pratyetavya ityarthaha. So, how to see the birth and death, that he is telling. The meaning implied is that it should be known that like the origination, destruction, going, coming and existence of the ether enclosed within a jar, the birth, death, etc. of the self in all bodies to appear. That is why we see in self-experienced aspirants, or we say those who have experienced the self in such persons, we simply see that they are never having any fear of birth or death. Even after telling so much to Janaka by Yajnavalkya and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, simply he says, Abhayam vai praptosi Janaka. Now you have reached a fearless state. In 16th chapter of Gita, the very first quality as an aspirant you should possess, Abhayam, Sattvasam Suddhi, starts from Abhayam. So the fearlessness, they should not fear even death or birth or anything. That is the aim one should achieve. Now, another verse he is telling, for that introduction is given. Sanghata. It is the combination of the subtle body and the gross body. Sanghata. Combination of agents or elements, aggregate of bodies are real. The difference due to them is also real. Now the opponent is asking, the body is real, bodies are real, the difference due to them is also real. So, non-duality is not logical. See, only one question is having. Whatever you say, I don't accept. Huh? And the proponent says, whatever you say, you talk all nonsense. This much. The Advaita is illogical. As said before, for that answer is given. Sanghataha swapnavat sarve atmamaya visarjitaha adhikye sarvasamyeva nopapattirhi vidyate. All aggregates such as body are created like dream by the maya of the self. See, now the self, you take the bigger or smaller, the absolute or the relative, only one self is there. So instead of using the word ignorance, uses the word maya, Gaudapada. Whether they be superior to another or equal, there is no ground to prove their reality. He says, Adhikya sarvasamyeva nopapattirhi vidyate. Now, the subcommentator, you see, first he got a word sanghata, so that he has explained. Now he says adhikya, excellency. So now he brings all the gods. In day-to-day life, in relative life, many worship God. They get so many results. So what is this? That is going to ask. The gods are worshipped, so they must have some excellency, So it is truth. Taking into consideration of the bodies, if you say some bodies are better than the other, that is imagination. And again, you see the subcommentator uses, that is the imagination of foolish people, he says. If some body is excellence having, other bodies, you see, they are all made up of 5 elements. Panchama. So if you see with discrimination, all the bodies are made up of 5 elements. So nothing more you can see in a body, or if you see all bodies equally, then you can understand they are not real, as your body is not real. All the elements are unreal. Elements are unreal. They just get aggregated. If you say some are elevated or superior to others, or some are inferior, by telling this much, you cannot prove the reality or the unreality. Some body is having some superiority, some it is not having. So, the opponent is asking from the relative plane, and the answer is given from the absolute plane. Adhikya. Sarvasamyeva nopapattir. Whether they be superior to one another or equal, there is no ground to prove their reality, because they are made up of elements. You see, we see the world, and we are in the world. So, in the relative plane, everybody talks. It is correct. But what the scripture says, God is everywhere, Atman is everywhere, you are in the Atman, Atman is in you, around you Atman is there. So, you will prove the relative world or the absolute scripture. What you want to prove? If you prove the relative world, you will be nowhere. You are getting attached to this. Attachment is death. Detachment is life. See, Swami Vivekananda puts in very small this thing. He simply says, attachment is death, detachment is life. So, you want to get attached to the relative world, or you want to get attached to the absolute, which the scriptures say. That is left to you. You are having the mind, you are having the intelligence, you are having the discrimination. You know better what is good for you. Nobody did not tell you anything. Am I correct? Another thing I told, for self-realization, the Taittiriya gives only two qualities, it says. Srotriyasya cha akahamatasya. One should know the scriptures and there should not be any desire in him. You know the scriptures sitting in the feet of Master, or whatever he says, you hear. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, even if you hear from others the meaning of the scriptures, you can follow. So, Srotriya, the knower of scriptures, that does not mean everybody should read the scriptures. They should know the meaning. They should know the essence. What all the scriptures say. One thing, only one Brahman is there. And one that is there as the Atman. You are not different. What does the scriptures they are telling you? Let me know. Nothing. This is the essence. That's why when Lord Shankara says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahma Manapara. So this you hear from others, from your master, and try to follow. And what is the other quality? You should have, you should discard all the desires. That Sri Krishna also says, Prajahateda kaman sarvan pathamanogata. So only two things. One you should know, one you should practice for self-realization. You want to ask something?
No, Swami. No, Swami, I just lifted a little bit my hand. No question.
Now, we'll go to the commentary. Ghatastaniyastu dehadi sanghata swapnadushya dehadivan maya vikuta dehadivacha atma maya visajitaha. The aggregates of the body, etc., which occupy the place of jar, etc., or like the body, etc., seen in a dream. Body that which is seen in a dream, and like those magically created by the juggler, and are the offspring of the illusion of self. They are the offsprings of the illusion of the self.
This is the first time he mentions the word Maya?
No. Many times he has mentioned. Now, the aggregates of the body, etc., which occupy the place of jar, etc., are like the body seen in a dream. are magically created by juggler and are the offsprings of illusion of the self. The idea is that they are just projected by illusion. Now, here the subcommentator says something which has to be explained. A precious stone or a jewel or spells and magic, these are negated by the proponent. See, now he says a precious stone. If you go to the Google and ask it, Ganapati Sachidananda in the lap of fire. There is a saint by name Ganapati Sachidananda. Nanda is still living. I think somewhere Bangalore or so. Twice I met him. Once where I met, I don't remember. And second time when I met him in Delhi, Dattatreya, follower of Dattatreya. Panditji is telling.
Input from the priest. He
He's
is ambitious, Swamiji. He is only heard, not seen.
So simply he asked me to come to his ashram, but I did not go. He sits 45 minutes inside the Yajna with the fire and worships. So where from he gets the power? In Shastras, it is told a precious stone is there. It is called Chandrakanta Mani. It is called. If you keep it by your side, fire will be there, but its power will not be there. He may be doing something or whatever it may be. He may be having some other power. So, but the proponent says, don't run behind these jewels, Chandrakantamani or something. And spells. Spell means a chanting, they remove a ghost. Or you see, previously also once I told you, some chants are there. Karna Pisacha. What they call? Karna Pisacha. It is Pisacha, it is a ghost. If you chant it, immediately you get all the power from it. So, it says, if a person is coming to you, all the history it will tell before he comes.
History
History.
about him.
The person, if person is coming to you, this Karna Pisacha will tell you all the history of that person. So now many gurus are there. The market is flaming with gurus. So they take the help of it. And before the coming person, oh, you are like that, you are like that, you want to ask.
You are in this difficulty.
So this is the solution like that they say. They are attracted by them. But this particular Karna Pisacha, all through the life, you have to do some chanting for it. The moment you leave, it will kill you. That's why he says, beware of the spells. No doubt, some material power you will be getting. So we have seen many persons, the masters used to tell, don't ask all these things, but they never heard. One incident or two incidents I will tell you. So somehow the disciple had taken the power of that spell, and afterwards he thought this is not for realization, he wanted to give up. Then he went to the master and he asked her, how to remove this Karna Pisacha? Then he told, he said, I am giving you a mantra. 3 days without sleep, continuously you should chant. Then it will go away. He could chant one day, the other day he got sleep, and that Karna Pisacha ate him. Oh, another disciple was there, and he again asked his master, I want to get rid of this fellow. Then he says, he give such a work to that Karna Pisacha, it has to go far off and it has to come back doing that work. So by that time you just tell her and jump into the river Narmada and leave your body, so that it will leave you. By telling and before jumping, it came and caught hold of you. See. So, now the subcommentator says, beware of the spells. And then magic. Indrajala.
Throwing rope
Ah.
into the sky.
Are negated by the proponent, avidya. He says, Atmano Maya Avidya. See, now he is not differentiating between the illusion and ignorance. Atmanaha Maya. What is translating? Avidya, ignorance. Taya pratyupastapita na paramarthata santi. The idea is that they are just projected by the illusion of the self, but do not exist in reality. Now, as Swamiji has asked, he simply is telling the illusion is in the self. And the self, he has written the capital letter. That only one self is there, absolute self. So, the illusion is there. And again, if the commentator says, what is illusion? He says avidya. So, Shankara are the followers of Jnana dualism. They never differentiate between Maya or avidya. So, for both of them, only one support is there. Because they consider only one self is there. Due to imagination, due to superimposition, we see the difference. Now, the proponent is giving an inference, logic. Vimata deha na satya dehatvat. He says, the opponent is telling that all the bodies are real. And the proponent is telling bodies are not real. For that, he is giving a logic. What he says, the point of controversy is body. The bodies are not real because they are bodies, combination of aggregation of the elements. This everybody knows. Nobody is going to live for 1,000 years. He exists by all. For this, now the opponent is giving another logic. He says, Brahmadi Deva Dehaha. The bodies of all the gods are superior, so not made up of ignorance, not as human beings. Their bodies are not like human being bodies. They are superior, so not made by ignorance. Even Lord Krishna says, I take the support of my own ignorance and I get manifested. In Gita. What is that sloka? So, he is taking the support of illusion. Sambhavami Atma Maya. I get the body with my own illusion. But what the opponent is telling, the bodies of all the gods, etc., are superior. They are not formed out of ignorance, opposite to the human bodies. But human bodies, you say, they are made up of ignorance, so they pass away. That he has given. Because all the bodies of gods are superior, so they are not the effect of ignorance. Opponent. He says, Yadi adhikyam adhika bhavas tiryek dehadapekshya dehadikaryakarana sanghatanam yadiva sarvesham samata eva na esham upapatti sambhava sadbhava pratipadako hetur vidyate nasti hi yasmat tasmat avidya krute eva na paramarthata santi ityartha. Now, the proponent is giving the answer. Do not exist in reality, it is all the projection of illusion that is told, though there may be superiority of aggregates of the bodies and senses of gods and the like, when compared to those of beasts, he says, not even human beings, he says, or equality of all, since there is no ground to prove their existence. The bodies of the gods are somebody. They are all created by ignorance alone and do not really exist. This is the meaning. See, Sri Ramakrishna also tells an example, gives an illustration. Lord Vishnu, to uplift the earth, he has taken the form of a pig. And he is not coming out of that form. And there in the Vaikunta, Lakshmi is weeping and weeping. Oh, my husband is not coming back. Then they have requested Lord Shiva. So, Lord Shiva uses his trident and kills that pig. Then, with a laugh, the Lord Vishnu comes out of that. So, this is the illustration given by Sri Ramakrishna in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. That it relates here. He says, the bodies of the gods are only an aggregate. They are formed with Maya or ignorance. So there is no superiority. Because the non-dualist, he accepts only one Atman, only one Brahman. So in between he don't want to bring anything else. Only two things he is having. One Brahman, one illusion. Because of illusion you are seeing many. If illusion is not there, you will see the oneness. But that is his theory. Taking the support of logic, individual jiva is not different from Brahman, has been proved. Otherwise, why the scripture should say, I am Atma Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, Tattvamasi. The scripture is declaring the word that you are Brahman, all these things. In this connection, he is quoting the Taittiriya Sruti, Rasadayo. Utpatyadi varjitasya advayasya atmatatvasya Sutti pramanakatta pradassanartham vakyani upanyasyante. In order to show the scriptural authority in support of the reality of the self, that is non-dual, and divide of birth, etc., the Shruti passages are being referred, he says. In Taittiriya, he says, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha, 5 sheets, he says. But he says, the indweller Atman is beyond all these things. And he says, Brahma Puchyam Pratishta. That is the word used in Taittiriya. Here in Brahma Sutras, the opponent is also the follower of non-dualism. Proponent also is the follower of non-dualism. Some difference is there. See, the beauty of Brahma Sutras, the opponent quotes some scripture, he also takes the support of scripture. Proponent also takes the support of the scriptures. At the same time, he refutes the argument of the opponent. That is why in Kailasa Ashram, first they teach all the Upanishads. To read Upanishads, you should be thorough with all the supporting these books, say grammar, logic, Purvamimamsa, yoga, Sankhya, all this. You should read. Then you should read the commentary of the Upanishads. Then you should read Brahma Sutras. Until and unless you are thorough with the Upanishads, you will not follow the argument in the Brahma Sutras of the proponent and the opponent. Because both are telling from the scriptures. And after finishing the reading of Brahma Sutras, then go to Gita and read it. Then you will understand properly. Otherwise, you cannot understand this. So, here, now, in the first place, he quotes Taittiriya. In the second place, he quotes Brihadaranyaka. So, in Taittiriya, what I was telling, Brahma Puchyam Pratishta. The opponent and proponent both belong to non-duality. So, in this word, the opponent says, Ekadesi it is called. He is accepting something and of one and is not accepting something of the same. Partial. Ekadesi. That is called Ekadesi. Partially is accepting and partially is not accepting. So he says, here Brahmapuchyam Pratishta, Modo Dakshina Paksha, Pramada Uttar Paksha, Ananda Atma. Brahmapuchyam Pratishta, that is the sentence there. So he says, Brahmapuchyam Pratishta, by this, we take the Anandamaya Kosha. That is, the Ekadesi says, one who is accepting the partially. Then, all the sutras are repeated there. But all the arguments given by the opponent, again all the sutras are taken and again explained according to the proponent. Proponent says, you see, the Brahman is the support for Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is not full bliss. Is not full bliss. Only Brahman is a full bliss. So he refutes. What the opponent accepted, he has accepted Anandamaya Kosha as bliss. He says it is not. It is very clear. But when you start reading the commentary and the Ratnaprabha sub-commentary, you will lose the subject. So, you should know the point of controversy and you should be thorough with all the schools of thoughts. Because again and again, there he refused the logicians, the Vaisheshikas, the yogis, the Buddhists, all the four followers, and the Sankhya. And another is there, that another Bhagavatamata is there. That also he refused. All those things.
Krishna, Aniruddha,
Sambal. So, until and unless you are thorough with all the schools of thoughts, you will not be able to understand.
except Kevaladvaita Vedanta, everything is refuted.
There. Only non-dualism they accept. So now, as a support, he is taking here the Taittiriya Upanishad.
So, but are we going to read according to the Bhashya and commentary or
No.
Gurudev Shivananda's commentary? You are going to?
We cannot finish those things. It will take minimum 1 year. We have to explain the Bhashya and commentary on Brahma Sutras, means it will take more than 1 year. And we are having only 1 or 2 months.
But you said something you would do the short version of Kailashash.
Huh?
Short version of Kailashash.
That also I think it will take some time. The short version, which I am translating, Vayasika Nyayamala, we can take that. You see, 555 sutras are there, and they are divided into 191 topics. So, for each topic, the Guru of Vidyaranya, he says, so what is the context? Then what is the doubt? And what is the opponent is asking? What is the proponent? And what is the subject of controversy? So these 5 things he first explains, and then he writes a little commentary on this Adhikarana, it is called. 555 sutras are divided into 191 Adhikaranas, topics. So he just gives the synopsis of the topic in Sanskrit. Bharati Tirtha, his name is, and he wrote Vayasika Nyayamala. He says, those who are not having good knowledge in Sanskrit, those who have not read grammar and logic, for them I am writing, he says. But if you simply go on reading, you will not understand anything.
That's why we have you.
So some explanation is necessary. Let us see, whatever comes we will do.
Maybe a typo here. It says the individual self, but self is with capital S.
Yes. That is, the individual self is not different from the absolute self. The individual self of the she's beginning with that, made of food, etc. Rasadayo hi ekosha vyakhyata staitiriyake tesham atma paro jivaha kham yatha samprakashitaha. individual self of the sheets beginning with that made up of food, Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha, which have been described in the Taittiriya Upanishad, is the same as the Supreme Self, as explained by us already on the analogy of ether. So what we have explained, the same thing is told in Taittiriya, so we are taking support. So this commentary we will do in the evening. Tomorrow morning there is no class.